Welcome to the middle of the African bush. There was sounds of lions hunting buffalo. James and I are both looking for that. So welcome to Safari Live. Ready?
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome to Safari Live. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have the incredible VM on camera with me, and we are in search of the male lions that were hunting buffalo last night in front of the Juma Camp. Now, thank you very much to Chris Rogue and others who sent us all those updates. And I won't lie, when I first heard them roaring, it sounded like they were outside my window. They kept us up last night. They were all around camp, roaring away. Now, I'm coming in from the south, and James is coming in from the north. So we are aiming to have a pincer movement to try find the lions. Now, some updates from Buffels Hook in the north. Yours has just let me know that Mvula and Shalova are mating again. Oh, it's a vulture. Now, I see he's all huddled against the cold. I don't think there's a kill here. I think that's where the vulture chose to spend its evening, and it's going to be waiting for the warmth to come and the warm air to rise so it can ride the thermals in search of food. And it is apparently 16 degrees Celsius, 61 Fahrenheit. VM and I are not so sure. It feels a lot colder this morning, especially since we've been down in the Milwaukee riverbed. And remember, we are live and we are capable of taking questions, and we'd love to hear from you. You can use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can send us an email on questions@wildearth.tv. So fingers crossed that we're going to find all the Nkuhumas. Now this is a bit more interesting. There's a couple of more vultures around, but we know that, look at that. Oh, he's going to fly. But we know that the rest of the pride were north in Buffels Hook. They were actually seen on yesterday's sunset safari. And now there's a couple of vultures around. There was only 2 males. Maybe the third male had himself a snack. Oh, very, very interesting. What are these vultures here about? There's enough to spark my interest, let's put it that way. I think there's too many to have been one vulture seeing another sitting and sort of hoping when it landed. What's that on the termite mound, VM? Saw something move up there. Let's just have a quick look. I saw something disappear behind the termite mound. Yes, now there's a batelier here as well. Okay, let's see what's behind the termite mound. Just more vultures. But while VM and I try to figure out what's going on with all these vultures around here, let's go across to my partner in crime, James Henry, so he can bid you a good morrow.
Oh dear. Good morning, everybody. Hello, how are you? I've just lost my microphone down the bottom of my pants, and I've retrieved it now. I hope you're all very well indeed. You may hear that my voice is slightly less than cheery this morning. This is because there is some form of frog dwelling in my throat, and so I will be speaking in this volume today. I hope you don't mind. It's very good to be with you, and it's a glorious, glorious morning. There's just a lot of talking going on here. Hang on a second. 16 degrees Celsius apparently, 61 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not a bad temperature as we go into the early part of the spring. I don't like to say that before the 1st of September, but we're getting there already. Apparently we're looking down the barrel of 34 degrees Celsius today, which is many, many degrees Fahrenheit. About 90 of them. Okay, so lots of updates about the lions this morning. We heard them roaring, and completely typically they decided they would stop calling as we got mobile. So we don't know where they are, but we think maybe they've gone in here. Chris Rogue, you sent through an update, which I'm sure Brent gave. At 4 o'clock, a lion chased a buffalo somewhere into this area. No tracks on this road. This is Mvubu Road, Chris. So we've come towards Mvubu Road. We'll go out onto the Buffelshoek cut line there. We'll see what we can pick up there, and then we'll come back down the Gowrie cut line. And between Taxon and Aubrey and Brent and I, hopefully we'll be able to figure out what's happened. But if we don't find the lions, we will almost certainly find something else of vast and great interest to us. Now, I'm as live as Brent is, believe it or not, even though I have a frog dwelling in my throat. So please do talk to us, hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter. Otherwise, questions at wildearth.tv if you are using the email. The light is just stunning this morning, and I think we're in for a great sunrise. And I'm just going to get Eggsy quickly, who's on camera today. Hello, Eggsy. My apologies for my late introduction of you. You nearly hit me, I can see that. Let's have a look at the moon there. There we are. And you can super zoom the moon. Ooh, listen. The lion's calling. Far to the west. Station's line, audio far to the west, sounds like might be even across from the gate, west of the gate, but definitely a full pride calling there now. They're a long way away, everybody, but they are going crazy. That's a long way away. And Liz, you say, just one sec, Liz. Lions audio, lots of them, sounds like west of the gate. Maybe on Triple M. They're still calling. They're still calling now. Liz, you want us to try and find a hyena den as well. Liz, I would so much like to find a hyena den. Unfortunately, I just don't think they're on Djuma anymore at the moment. Oh, there we go. So, Aubrey's got sound of them. He reckons that they're close to Zoe's Road and audio. So Aubrey's a bit closer to that area, so he's going to go straight in there. We'll go round to the left. Okay, this sounds good, everybody. They might still be on the reserve. This is great news. Yeah, this is good. Okay. There was a hyena den down there. Unfortunately, there isn't anymore. I'll come down from Aubrey's Road. Righty, we just need to keep them updated that we are going to keep trying to find these lions as well. While we do that, let's go across to Brent, who's got some zebra to show you.
Okay, we can hear the lions roaring, but not to the north. There we go. But this is what the lions might have been chasing last night. The zebra that were alarm calling earlier this morning. we're just listening now. So those zebra look incredibly relaxed at the moment. So we're going to keep going. Oh, there's some Inyala as well. So it sounds like the lions are actually further to the west in the opposite direction from what we are looking, but the male might not be with them. So I think James is going to go follow up on that audio. We're going to keep checking for the male that was chasing the buffalo around here. Now, the reason I was keeping so quiet there while the other lions that we barely can hear in the distance were calling was in case the males decided to respond. Oh, lovely herd of Inyala. Hello, fluffies. All fluffed up from the cold morning. There's a little boy. Hasn't quite got his adult colours yet. He's starting to go a bit dark in the neck. Oh, cheeky. I've got horns and I'll use them, even though they are the size of not even the size of a pencil just yet. Oh, look at that little greeting between the sub-adult and the younger one. I think it's going to be a spectacular morning. We've had some quiet drives over the weekend, but hopefully that's all about to change on this sunrise safari. And it's quite nice actually to have a few quiet drives. Oh, there's a boy who's a little bit more developed. You can see starting to get that adult male coloration, darkening. His horns are a bit longer. What have you got there? Almost looks like he's picked up a little bit of bone. That's the way he's chewing. I don't think that's vegetable matter. There we go. Now he dropped it. It is a little bit of bone. Now, that is not unusual at all, and especially in a drought like we're having at the moment. A lot of the antelope species will chew on old bones, and why they do that is to get calcium. Now, there's a very special word for that, and I wonder if any of our very smart viewers out there can tell me what that word is. What is the special scientific word for animals chewing on bones? If you know the answer, please pop me an email to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Now, I'm hoping James and Herbie and Aubrey and Tax, who are looking around where those lions were calling, have some success. Oh. Just listening to an update on the radio. Oh, I'm not going to surprise. I'm not going to tell you what it is. But it sounds like James is in the vicinity. And it sounds like what we are looking for. So it sounds like maybe... Oh, very exciting. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but what it does mean is I'm going to change my plan. Ooh. Ooh. Aha. I hope you guys are getting excited. I'm excited. Aren't you excited, VM? Oh, VM doesn't have Game Drive com, so VM also doesn't know what I'm going ooh about. I'm doing my best to channel my inner hyena. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, so we're going to keep heading towards, I'm going to change my direction, head towards the south. Now, incredibly, the last view I had of Queen Karula as we went to fireside chat last night, she jumped into the Voyatella camp. And so she cleared straight over that fence, probably hunting bushbuck and nyala in the camp. Well done to Judy, James, Richard, and quite a few others. The correct scientific terminology for an animal eating old bones is called osteophagy. And as I said, to get calcium and minerals. Now, the little mammal that does osteophagy the most, and it's probably the most important for it, and it's actually evolved to be an osteophage, is the largest rodent in Africa, the porcupine. So they're constantly chewing on bones to keep those quills in healthy order. Now, James Taylor's wondering, will chewing on bones chip their teeth? It's possible, but not too likely, James. So, I mean, they'll sort of grind the bones rather than sort of crunch them like a hyena. So just getting a little bit of that calcium, and especially bones that have been sitting out in the sun for a long time, they become quite cracked and flaky and quite soft. So I just want to have a quick look over here. Now, it doesn't seem like Queen Karula popped out at the Juma Pan last night, but she did have a drink at the Gallagher Pan, so I'm going to check a little bit further to the south and see if she took a shortcut across quarantine. Just having a quick listen. You can see lovely mist sitting low in the valley. But I hear a squirrel. But the impala don't look too upset. Let's go have a look, see if we can see where that squirrel is looking. I think those squirrels are just chasing each other around. No, you can see them. There's two of them there. Ooh. I think it might be amorous squirrel time. Ooh, playing hard to get. I don't think they're alarming at anything. Yeah, I'm going to keep moving. Leave the amorous squirrels to their amorous early morning intentions. Now, what I'm really hoping after that incredibly windy day we had yesterday is that the wind stays away today. It does make finding animals a little bit easier. Also makes tracking a little bit easier because the tracks are not completely blown over. Well, saying that, we did have such a fantastic view of Queen Karula on yesterday's sunset safari. Okay, so quite often Karula will cross on the northern edge of quarantine heading towards Philemon's Dip, so we're going to go see if she heads that way. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. I might have to take a pretty picture. Normally I'm not one for the sunrise, sunset shots. I like my animals in my photographs, but that is particularly beautiful. There we go. Absolutely stunning, but as beautiful as the sunrise is, and James has got something that I think a lot of you will find even more stunning than an African sunrise.
There's a male lion, everybody, and you can see that his whole face is covered in blood. And that is because, just up to where he's looking, the Nkuhuma Pride is feeding on a buffalo that they have just killed. We'll go and have a look there now. But there they are. I don't know if the littlies are there. I'm thinking probably not. Okay, let's go and move in and have a bit of a closer look. Aubrey managed to find them. They started shouting here. As you know, we were sitting while they were shouting, and I think what might have happened is they probably had a fight over the kill, and then those males started to call. 4 females. Here come the cubs. Here come the cubs. Oh, I don't even know where to look. Let's go to the carcass first, everybody. See, the cubs are staying away from this carcass because they know that there's violence here. Just want to see if we can't get a view of both. Well, there we can see some cubs. Have you got it? Are you okay there, Eggsy? Oh, so this buffalo killed sometime during the night. I think these are the 5 bigger cubs, given that there are only 4 females here. And interestingly, the last time they tried to catch a buffalo like this, of course, they failed. But they had the 2 males with them this time round, and that would have made a huge difference. The steam coming out of their mouths. That's Amber Eyes just going around the back there. This is why the cubs don't want to be anywhere near this, because of the fighting that goes on here. See, for those of you who've been watching those little ones growing up, you've been watching them suckling, you can see how it's just, I mean, it's that fighting over food begins from the very, very start. Now, you see the 2 there on the 2 cubs there? They look like they're thinking about coming here to have a feed. Look at that. Look at they're covered in blood. They're covered in mud, in gore and blood. So cute. Very that is disgusting. They are so disgustingly dirty from all of the buffalo gore and guts that they've got all over their faces. There will be a lot of sleeping as the heat starts to build today. These lions will do an enormous amount of very sound sleeping once their bellies are full. She's calling the cubs. She's calling the cubs to come. Watch this. And to reverse very slightly so we can see. Fighting. How's that, Daisy? Is that better? Yeah. Isn't this fantastic? Wow. just the 3 cubs, looks like. Is that right, eggs?
Yeah.
I think probably just the 3 older cubs. The other, well, there are other 5 are probably lurking not too far from here. Maybe being looked after by the other lioness. You see how they don't want to approach. They're very nervous to approach. They know they'll get into big trouble, and those females will think nothing of swatting. Just trying to make his way there. Grubby little gore-bespattered thing. Look how fat they are. They've eaten well. Well, here come the other cubs. Here come the other cubs, everybody. Mum went to fetch them. Listen to them. They're all here now, all 8 of them, including the fat little teddies. Tex? I just need to talk to Tex quickly, everybody. You're right, love. You're right. Sound. See, they're all roaring now. Yeah. I'm just going to sneak forward so the Tex can get a bit of view. Right. This is just amazing. I don't even know where to look. Michael, you say, at what point will these cubs be allowed to feed? Well, Michael, they have fed. They've actually fed quite a lot. I'm going forward again, just to get this bush out the way. How's that, eggs? Better. Michael, they have fed, but they won't be able to touch the carcass before the adults have had a good fill. They'll get thumped if they do that. Look at that big hole out the buffalo's back there. That's where one of them definitely got on top during the kill and bit away at the buffalo's spinal column. This is just unbelievable, everybody. What a special way to start the week. Hey? Not a bad way to start a Monday, Eggsy.
Mm-mm.
Jenny, you said it looks like your kids but after chocolate pudding. Yeah, I've seen plenty of kids that look exactly like this. I think precisely what you mean. Look at them trying to get in there, but the littler ones are not here yet. Littler ones are a bit nervous to come here. Hello, Brenda and Virginia. You're wondering about who the dominant lioness is here. Brenda, in lion pride, there's very seldom actual dominant lioness. It's much more common that they have a completely sort of linear hierarchy, if you like. There's no stratification. The only thing that changes that is size. So if a female lion is bigger than the others at a kill site, then she can be more dominant in that she will eat first because she'll bully the others away. Now what's important for you to realize, I think, or for me especially, I have to keep reminding myself, Amber Eyes is so distinctive, and she's got that sort of character where she does kind of look at us and look at the vehicles and look at the camera, and I think that's given us a slightly false impression of her role in this pride. She's not the oldest female, and she's not, I mean, they're all pretty much the same size, so I don't think she's dominant over the others, no. I think we just like her as a character more. Just listen to that, that's the sinew and bone being devoured by these lions. The little cub's putting his head right inside there. If you are a younger viewer, or perhaps you're a sensitive viewer, this is going to be a little bit, it might be a little bit gory. Might be a little bit gory, but the buffalo is long dead, as you can see. It's not feeling any pain at this stage. And Michael, you're 18 and you say, how long will this kill last them? Michael, it won't last them very long. I think you'll probably find that they will finish it in about 2 days, and then I think they won't necessarily need to hunt again for the next 3 or 4 days. This is fantastic. Oh. I'm going to suggest, everyone, that we try and move around the other side. I know that that's quite amusing, watching that little thing with its head in the middle of the carcass, but let's just see what it looks like the other side. Fantastic. All right, let's quickly go across to Brent and get an update while I go around the other side.
Isn't that exciting? Inkahuma's on a buffalo kill. Well done, Chris Rogue, for predicting that. And I'm just checking very slowly. I'm trying to find any sign of Queen Karula heading towards the south. Now, we're slowly making our way down Twin Dams. If we don't get any sign here, we're going to check a bit further to the west and back towards Treehouse Dam. And that area, hopefully we will find a sign of her. Hopefully she's been as successful as the Inkahumas last night in that wind. Well, thank you very much, Joyce, who's a zoomie. For those who are wondering what a zoomie is, so we have the dam cams, and the zoomies are able to control and zoom those different cams. So we are looking in the right area. We've just come onto Twin Dams Road, and Joyce says Karula did pass just after drive, didn't stop for a drink at the pan, but headed straight south towards Twin Dams. So if we can't find any of her tracks on Twin Dams itself, we're going to delve into the Moati River and see if there are any of her tracks in the river itself. So thank you very much for that, Joyce. That definitely makes me feel a little bit more confident in the area that I'm checking. Now, as I said, I think our final control thermometer is broken because it's definitely colder than 16 degrees here. And again, I've made the mistake of wearing shorts. But enough of me complaining about the weather and how cold it is. Let's go back to the incredible Inkahumas on the buffalo kill.
Look at that, everybody. Those are the littlest cubs, those little fat teddy bears that we've been watching for the last little while. And they're a little bit skittish to come through to this kill. You can see they're watching what's going on here. They're so beautifully lit there. Isn't that stunning? Look at them. And they're so fat and in such good condition because their mum is obviously producing lots and lots of milk. But they're just a little bit too small and nervous to come towards the kill. And the others are fighting over this kill. We've had an aggressive interaction between two of the cubs at the carcass. There they all are. Look right in it now. As the adults have finished and they're starting to lie down and have a snooze, so it is that these bigger ones are now getting their fill. And they had, like I said, quite a vicious interaction where they sort of started, well, I mean, it was a really loud, throaty roar they made at each other. They were so dirty. Filthy little things. And the claws. Look at those little claws. Hello, Gail in Australia. You want to know if we have know all the sexes of these cubs yet? We don't, Gail. You can see quite easily now. We know that the fat teddies who we've just seen, and those fat teddies are 2 males and 1 female. And they're just playing off to the north of us. If you can see them there, Eggsy, they're running around there, having a whale of a time. But the others we're not sure about. I tried to sex them all the other day, Gail, but it was impossible because they kept moving around. So I'd count 1 male and 2 females, and then they'd move around and mix up, and it'd be impossible to tell who I'd counted and who I hadn't. No, we're not going to be here all morning, I don't think. Everybody, look at that thing now quickly on the horn. I think there are going to be a few other people trying to get in here, because this is obviously the most spectacular sighting. But that's a cub. That's a cub making that noise, everyone. There's an adult calling. I think that female you can hear making the noise, I think, is calling the little ones towards us. Shamsan, you say, has Eggsy ever filmed anything like this before? And if not, he must be loving his new job. Eggsy, have you ever filmed anything like this before on a Monday morning?
Never.
This is his first time. Are you loving your job, Eggsy?
More than I
It's amazing, isn't it? Right, here come the little ones. They're getting a little bit braver. 2 of them are, anyway. Oh no, these are the 3 little ones. There are 4 here. One of the older ones is hung back here. There we are, they're just meeting up there. You see them, Eggs? Look! Oh, what a pleasure this camera is, huh? So I think there's through the 3 6-week-olds and the 1 10-week-old is in there. Betty, you want to know about hairballs and whether lions get hairballs. Yes, they do. And you cough them up, and it's quite amusing to watch a lion with a hairball. Leopards, I think, seem to get them a bit more, because leopards use their tongues probably slightly more to clean away the hair from carcasses than do lions. There's a very brave little thing coming towards us now. Hello. So stocky these little ones are. I don't don't know why I think that they're so much. They are definitely fatter than the others, but that's probably because they haven't been moving with the pride yet. So whenever they've wanted to eat, they've just turned to Mum, and she's allowed them to eat. He's now stalking another one who's just gone behind. They're slowly coming closer and closer. You might still be able to hear the growling at the carcass. I mean, these cubs will not even kind of touch the amount of meat left that there is on the carcass. Ali, you say these cubs' roars are bigger than they are. They are absolutely bigger than they are. It's loud and it's quite angry in many respects, you know. They're not very kind to each other. Alice, I suppose possibly the answer would be yes. You say, could one cub kill another cub? I mean, it's a possibility, but it's very unlikely. In hyenas it happens commonly, but very uncommonly with lions. Especially with them all being relatively similar ages. I mean, in a year's time you won't notice the difference between the sizes. Look at these things now, Eggsy. They're coming right up to us now. There they are. They want to have some meat, but they're just a bit scared to come to the kill. They can smell the carcass. Fatty little teddy bear. Almost looks like they're using us for some kind of cover. They're quite close to us now. They've come slowly closer, and they're about 10 meters from us now. Oh, he's a very vicious boy. I don't know if you can hear, but way in the background, the call of the pied crow. Quack, 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 quack. Another little one right in front here thinking about this. What is it? It's a large false thorn tree. Mangled, very old false thorn tree. There you can hear the crow. So often those pied crows come through here. It's not common to have them here. The little one's now calling Mum. Ooh, getting braver. No, not so much. Where's that fourth one? No, the fourth one is still lying back there. I wonder if that fourth one isn't the one that was injured a little while back at one of those kills in Bass. Perhaps is a little reticent to get too stuck in here in case he gets injured again. Oh, now they've got the meat. They're licking the gore off one of the older one's faces. Eggsy, I'll try and get us slightly forward there. Hello, Greg in Oklahoma. You're wondering about how often the pride will try or need to kill something this size to feed someone so big, this is fun. To feed a group of lions this large, the chaps aren't eating a huge amount of meat just yet, Greg, so, you know, a kill like this of the buffalo will, well, it'll make a huge difference to, you know, what I'm saying is I don't think they're going to kill extra because of these cubs just yet. They're going to have to start doing that fairly soon, because all the cubs are now getting, well, the older ones are now 14 weeks old. They'll wean at 6 months, so they're still on milk for quite a while. So I don't think there's too much extra killing going on, but certainly by the time they get to, say, once they're all over 6 months, they will have to probably kill a buffalo like this twice as often as they are now. And they're killing buffalo, you know, they're eating buffalo amount of meat probably once a week. That will have to double. And then for the next year or so, it's very, very difficult. Oh, this is interesting. One of the females has moved off there to go and call the youngsters. I wonder if she's not worried about a male. Oh, here, that's another cub. He's telling the cub to come back. So, Greg, until they're about sort of 18 months to 2 years, they're going to have to be killed for. Jen, you're wondering how many Birmingham boys are around. There are only 2. Ooh, there's an elephant around too. He's cracking branches around behind us. He won't be happy if he comes across this lot. Elephants do not like lions. I'm going to try and move again, Eggs, so we've got a view of the cubs and then the kill in the background. Make a little bit of noise as we go through here. In fact, let me wait. These cubs have just popped out into the open right here. Look at that. Look. Isn't that cool? So sweet. Ooh. That you can hear the adults shouting at each other. Oh, it's amazing. Now, you see, they don't need to worry too much about meat, these chaps. They're getting lots and lots of milk. I suspect quite strongly their mother is producing a lot more milk than some of the others, especially, for example, those Styx Pride lionesses. All right, we're going to sit here for a bit longer. Let's head across to Brent, who's got something hanging in a tree to show you.
Look at this. 2 little velvet monkeys, aloe grooming, and they're right on the eastern edge of a knobthorn tree, trying to catch as much early morning sun to warm up before going foraging. Isn't it just too precious? So we're in the Mawati riverbed at the moment, and we're looking for any sign of Queen Karula. No luck so far, but we're going to keep checking. So we've done all the way down to Twin Dams on the southern boundary, and now we're heading back north in the riverbed, hoping that we're going to find a track, or even better, the Queen herself. Now, let's have a look. There's quite a lot of animals that will bask in this early morning. I mean, look at that. We've got the moon And we got one of my favorite trees. It's actually probably my favorite copse of trees on Djuma. Some big leadwoods, some big knobthorns, big tambuerties, big jackalberries. It's a wonderful little spot here, and lots of big, beautiful trees. Now all we need is a beautiful female leopard in this beautiful light to couple the beautiful lions. Although apparently I hear they're not looking so beautiful, covered in blood and stomach content. Now, yesterday when we saw Queen Krula, she had a thorn stuck just below her eye, and Jason's wondering, could that cause blindness? Very unlikely. It's not in her eye itself, it's just in the skin below. It is a possibility it could get infected, which could cause blindness, but I don't think so looking at that. And I'm pretty sure probably by the next time we see her, it'll be out. And hopefully the next time we see her will be shortly. Okay, so we're going to keep checking for Queen Krula, but in the meantime, let's go back to those incredibly adorable, even when they're bloody, Nkahuma cubs.
The little ones, everybody, have come up right close to the car now. So we're just watching quite carefully the lionesses and how they react, and one of them is watching where the cubs go quite carefully. But they've come to within, at one stage, about 3 feet of the car. They're enjoying the base of this mangled false thorn bush. I'm trying to find that fourth other cub. I just need to ask, and we're probably going to have to move out, everyone. Yours, you can make your way straight here. I'll move out as soon as you get here. Ntafamba. Orbs men Ntafamba. We might have to leave, everyone. I'm not sure what the vehicle story is. Okay, copy, no problem. Yeah, yours, just make your way straight here and I'll pull out. Yours is about 10 minutes away, everybody. Yeah, come down Aubrey's from the cut line and you'll get us on the western side of the road most of the way down towards Huatela access, but if you're coming from the cut line, then Aubrey's road's the best approach. I'm just trying to guide him in here. So I think we will have to move out, but that's okay. We've had an amazing time here, but we've got about 5 minutes left, so let's just really enjoy them for the next 5 minutes in the most perfect light. And let us just pinch ourselves once more, Eggsy, and remind ourselves that this is Monday morning, when most people are sitting in the traffic, mainlining Prozac to try and stave off the depression of the week. And here we are, sitting with lions and their little cubs in the morning light. Kevin, you ought to know if I've ever seen a pride with so many healthy cubs. I have. It's not uncommon. Remember, the health of these cubs really does depend on what they're eating, and their eating depends on what the mothers are hunting and how much milk they're producing. But also, when they're only suckling, like the little fat ones, the two males, the two the two fat teddies, or 3 fat teddies. The 3 fat teddies are, sorry, I was just being spoken to in the radio there. They will stop being quite such fat teddies once everyone starts eating meat. Then they start to look a lot more ropey. Once they start weaning and they have to, deal with, like that one there, and they have to deal with the fact that they're not always able to get enough milk all the time, it becomes quite difficult for them. And so yes, they look healthy now, but they're a little bit older most of them than the Styx Pride cubs, for example, or than those little Styx Pride cubs. And I think that's one of the reasons that they look so good. But I think the 3 youngest are unusually healthy. I think they're unusually fat, and I think their mum is obviously very full of milk for them. Obviously that means, it depends a lot on what they're eating. Aubrey's left, so we're not going to have to go just yet, everyone. Anna in Connecticut, a good one from you about whether or if all these lions grow to adulthood and to independence age, will we be overrun with lions? No, we won't be overrun with lions. Remember, the Nkuhuma Pride at one stage was, I think, up to 20 lions at one stage. So that's not that unusual. Prides that size don't last, though, and they tend to be knocked off. And, the numbers of lions fluctuate so greatly. So, yeah, we've had a pretty lean lion time, I think, of the last little while. This might increase that. Just remember, though, that the males, 1 in 10 chance of reaching adulthood. Females probably about a 3 or 4 in 10 chance. And although if the females, so let's pretend of these 8 cubs, 4 of them are females and 4 of them are males, which is sort of a fairly sound guess. 4 extra females in this pride is probably going to result in quite a lot more meat being consumed, but not enough to actually dent the buffalo or impala or any other sort of herbivore population numbers in this area. The males will move off. This one's just under the tree there, staring at us. And it disappeared all behind this huge false thorn tree. It's exactly like a sort of fairy book fort tree that kids would like to play around, especially before the elephants had broken most of it away. And so lion cubs, just like humans, like to play around trees where they can pretend to be in a fort. Let's reverse it a little bit. Andrew, you want to know if a lion cub is able to kill a very small animal to eat. I wouldn't say, I'd say maybe these oldest ones could kill something like a squirrel. I don't think they'd be able to, I don't think they have the coordination just yet. And I'm not sure that they have the strength either. But I think that I think you'll find that once they're about 6 months old or so, they could start killing things like squirrels and maybe the odd mongoose. But by a year, they can easily start killing other things. But they're not skilled hunters until they're about 2 years old. Paul, you say this buffalo's horns indicate that he wasn't a particularly large fellow, and that he was, because it indicates that he was old, but you say he doesn't look very large. I think he's pretty big. He is old, you're right. From the horns we can see he was old because that keratin layer on top and to the sides has been sort of rubbed and polished smooth by years of use and a little bit of fighting. But I think that his body size doesn't look as big as it might for 2 reasons. One, they've eaten quite a lot of it, so that will inevitably make it look a bit smaller. And 2, he is probably a little bit skinny as a result of the drought. And it's incredible how an animal does immediately seem smaller, almost as soon as the life force is sort of snuffed out of it. And so I think he's a pretty good sized adult buffalo bull. Poor fellow. Didn't have a good night last night, did he, Eggsy? Sandy, a very nice question all the way from Missouri, and I love these questions that sort of compare human beings with animals. You say, human beings have got taller and taller over the last few hundred years. Is the same happening with lions? Human beings have got taller. Well, most of us. Some of us haven't. But that's not some sort of evolutionary function. It's a function of environment. It's a function of the fact that we eat much better. We've got much better medical care, especially infant nutrition is extremely improved from what it was, say, 200 or 300 years ago. So I think, Sandy, that lions will remain exactly the same size as they have for millennia. But human beings are getting bigger because we eat better, and more of us eat better. It's interesting. I think you'd probably find that that's got a lot to do with child nutrition. I think you find stories of Napoleon Bonaparte. You know, he's apparently only 5'6", or 5 foot something, or somewhere around that. And you know, they say, well, you know, he was a short man. He wasn't for his time. He was a pretty average-sized man for his time. And I think they say, I'm not sure. I think Hitler was quite small too. He definitely had short man syndrome. But you find these stories of old generals and that sort of thing, and we compare them with the heights of the big sort of generals and CEOs of this age, and we think, well, they were small. They weren't small. They were exactly the same size comparatively. And so you'll find, I think, that human beings are getting taller, like I say, because especially early childhood development. Look at all these little cubs coming up towards us. They're now basically climbing under the car. We're being surrounded. We just need to watch the lionesses now. Make sure that they don't get offended by us. Look at them walking past us here. Look, this tiny little thing. So sweet. Mike, make your way straight here. I'll move out for you. This is just unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. Does you reckon that they learn that their skills to survive come slower than leopard cubs? Yeah, you're right, they do. You're absolutely correct. You know, they're a useless member of the hunt until they're about 2 years old. But, Liz, I think what you'll find is that although, you know, I've said to you that leopardess specifically can become independent at, say, 8 months if she has to, and the males are probably at about 18 months. The big thing about how the difference in the lions, obviously, is that they live socially. And to learn to hunt in a group, I think, takes a lot longer than learning to hunt on your own. And definitely by a year, these chaps will be able to kill on their own very successfully the smaller stuff. But I would agree it does take a little bit longer than it does for the leopards, for them to become totally independent. But I think that is largely a function of their sociality. Look at these ridiculous things here on the logs behind us. I mean, it's just too special for words. They're exploring all over the place. They're not vaguely afraid of us anymore. And every so often they wander a bit and the lioness lifts her head and she starts calling them again. It's quite interesting also that there's an older one always with them. I don't think he's there as in any kind of mentorship role, but I think that he's there because he prefers the company of the smaller ones. He doesn't get beaten up by them. Ooh, listen to that crunching sound. Alright everybody, we're going to go across to Brent. I'm going to try and stay here a little bit longer, but if we have to leave then we're going to. But Brent has got a multi-species pile-up to show you.
Well, welcome. There's a massive herd of impala here in the beautiful early morning light, and just beyond them is a big pig with a really nice set of tusks on him. Hello, mister. And then spread throughout the area around us, there must be about 50 zebra. And so all moving. There we go. There's some of the zebra. The rest of them are to the east of us. And you can actually hear the impala's footprints as they move across that dry earth. Look at that. Beautiful light on the impala. Now, let's get a bit closer to the old zebras. Now, Andrew is wondering how many zebras hang out together at once. So, Andrew, it really depends on the time of year and the exact conditions. You can get 1,000 zebra together at once in Botswana in the Makgadikgadi salt pans. Generally here, it's unlikely. The biggest group I've seen in the Kruger is probably about 200. And you only get these really big groups during the dry season and surrounding waterholes. So most of the time, zebras live in little harems, which generally consist of a stallion up to about 10 or 15 mares and their offspring. But during the dry season, a lot of those sort of rules go out the window when there's shortage of food and water. Now, Gregory's wondering if zebra can outrun a lion. Over middle distance, yes, Gregory. But over a short distance, sort of 50 meters or so, not. So lions generally live off that sort of short burst of pace. But if the hunt extends for any length of period, the zebras normally can get away. See lots of impala. The great generalist of the herbivores. When I say the great generalist, it's one of the reasons they're so successful is their ability to graze or browse depending on what food's available. It's quite nice to just sit in the sun and enjoy these incredible animals as they meander past us. I'm just trying to see if I get that perfect impala shot with the light shining in the eyes. Now, Kyle's wondering how many impala do I think are in the herd? I'd say probably close on 50. Just in a quick count on the ones to the left, I got to about 35, and then there's still a whole bunch more still, or the end, the last of them moving through. I'd say probably around 50 impala. And the zebras are quite spread out, but there's also probably around 50 of them in this area, but they are very spread out in comparison to the impala. But they're all looking very relaxed. like Karula is not nearby. But there we go. What a lovely little sighting. Multi-species, warthogs, impala and zebra. And all of them have done well to avoid the lions, unlike that buffalo. So let's go see what's happening there.
We've just watched the most amazing little interaction between that cub and Amber Eyes. And Amber Eyes is just off. That's her there, you can see. And she very friendlily greeted one of them, but one of them then tried to suckle from her, and of course she's not lactating at all. So he got a nasty little snap from her, and then the two of them decided to come this way and leave Auntie Amber to her little siesta. Such a lovely sighting, this. It's so special to be able to spend A, this amount of time, and B, just to watch all the interactions of different ages of animals. There's so much going on here, you don't know where to look. And you can still hear that crunching of sinew, as the back molars, the carnassial teeth, shear away the meat from this incredibly thick buffalo hide. Hello Rachel, a good question, especially as A, your new viewer, and B, because there's been a few of those videos doing the rounds on social media with cheetah especially jumping into or onto cars. Have I ever had a cub or an adult jump into or onto the car? I had a leopard do it once, and he was trying to get away from some wild dogs. That was a terrifying incident, but otherwise no. Rachel, you find those videos, and I'm assuming you're kind of referring to them, of the cheetah especially. They do it in East Africa because there are so many vehicles. The vehicles really, I mean, if you think these animals are habituated to vehicles, that's a new level. You know, it's not unusual to find a cheetah sighting with probably sort of 20 vehicles around it. And the way they hunt there is to get up onto a vantage point, and the only way to find a vantage point is on a termite mound, and if your car happens to be a good vantage point, then that's what the cheetahs are often going to do. You don't see it with lions and leopards though, you only see it with cheetah, which tend not to be particularly, or they habituate much more easily than other cats to our presence on foot, certainly, and to our smell. Look, you see that happening again there. Now, they don't know the difference, of course, the little things. And she's now so full she can hardly move. So, Rachel, my answer would be, I think it's highly unlikely to happen here unless there was some kind of aggressive interaction. So all these little cubs, as the adults have become tireder with eating and feeding, have come closer and closer and closer. And you can see they're reticent about it. They're just a little bit nervous still, because obviously there is a huge amount of movement and anger and swatting and growling and beating. Okay, everybody, we're going to have to leave now. Mike, just stand by there, please. I'll come out now. We're going to move out now, everyone. Mike is moving into the sighting. It's been an incredible morning, and we might well come back here a little bit later and see what else is happening. Okay. Sorry, Mike, I can see him moving right in, so we're going to have to move out immediately. Okay, everybody. What marvellous time. Let's go get an update from Brent. I'll see you out on the road.
What a special sighting you guys have been enjoying with James. I won't lie, I'm a little jealous. Vim, are you jealous? Yes. Yes, we're both jealous. We're hopefully going to make up with it with some spotted cats. Hopefully. So let's keep going. So far we've checked a lot of Karula's likely hangouts with no signs. Now it is possible she might have gone towards Buffelshoek Waterhole for a change. I mean, she is moving back further north and further east in her normal territory. Let's just check towards our southern boundary from Shabam Road. Now, Shabam is a Shangaan word, which is quite a new Shangaan word, and it's to do with the noise that thing makes. Shpow! So it is the Shangaan word for a gun or a rifle, and this is called Shibam Road because there's a quarry that the guides practice their shooting in just off here, so that's where it gets its name. Shpow! Oh, Tiffany in Oklahoma, you're probably going to get me into trouble. Tiffany said she went to the zoo today, and their leopard in the zoo has a little newborn cub. Is this good for the leopard population? Tiffany, if you look at the meta population, the whole population, probably not. It makes absolutely no difference to the greater leopard population in the world. I don't know which zoo it is, but I generally err on the side of caution with zoos, especially if they're breeding big cats. There's so many big cats in captivity, and the quality of life is, to say the least, probably not what it should be. And I know the zoos do try hard and stuff like that, but you've got an animal that in the wild ranges over massive, thousands of acres, and now confined into a very small space. So Tiffany, probably great for you guys to look at in terms of the greater good of leopard conservation. Probably very little help in terms of the leopard populations in the world. Now, leopard are incredibly adaptable cats, and they are, what you got there, Vim? Civet. They are very widespread, and they are under pressure, and let me leave no doubt there, but of the big cats in Africa, they're under the least pressure, and of the big cats in Asia, under the least pressure. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I think, we're going to go have a gander on Arethusa. So far, no. Ooh. As I say, no tracks. Let's just go back and have a double check of that one. Oh no, it's a hyena. Liz has saying they've been seeing hyenas having a drink at Juma before moving off again. Well, that's not uncommon, and as I say, there's not enough hyena audio around for those dens to be active at the moment for me. I did have a look at the Aubrey's Road dens yesterday or the day before, nothing there, but I think they're just out on their patrols, and as a hyena can do 30 kilometers in an evening while patrolling and scavenging and hunting. I see a vehicle. Looks like they might be looking at tracks up ahead, so let's go have a morning meeting with them. Just double checking if there are any tracks about. Always a good place to check these junctions of roads. Now, there's a possibility we might see Shadow or Karula in this area. Or, of course, Tingana. So far, just hyena tracks. And look, it's Ryan without a beard and looking quite suave in his aviators. Hello, sir.
How are you, buddy?
Very well, and yourself?
Good, and you?
Any updates from your side?
There images, but nothing you want to go and look at.
I've got an update. It's probably not going to make you happy though.
Okay.
Nkuhuma's on a Buffalo Kill Aubrey's Road.
I know, I'm okay with that. We got the sticks on the
Right.
nets.
Okay, cool. And anything further east?
It doesn't sound like much. I've just crossed over, so I'm not sure. But on that side so far, it seems like that the Mafazi Yengwes are all on elephant plains.
Of course.
Yeah, doing their thing. But if anything does cross over, I'll send you guys a message.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Cheers, good luck. Enjoy the
Have a good
sticks.
one.
There you go, that's Ryan, the head ranger from Arathusa, and a good friend as well. But you can tell winter is over because he has lost this big manly beard he had during the coldest months. Let's fix my chair. Okay, so what he said, all the female leopards seem to be on elephant plains as well as the males. So maybe we won't go across, or maybe we will. Should we throw the dice? VM, what do you think? Let's go look at Red Dam at least, exactly. Okay. Now, there's literally not a cloud in the sky. It's absolutely beautiful. Sarah, I don't understand what you're saying. I can't understand. Sarah, I don't understand you. Now, for those of you asking why I don't understand Sarah, Sarah says, how do you say my mother says you need a haircut in Shanghai? Now, Sarah, I think for that comment, I'm going to try to grow my hair as long as Brian's, so down to here somewhere. How long is Brian's hair now? Here, somewhere here. So, no, I'm joking. I probably would get too frustrated if it got that long. And summer is coming. Maybe it's time for a haircut. Maybe not. While we keep checking our western boundary for any signs of leopards, let's go back to James and see what his plans are for the rest of the morning.
Well, we're back again, everyone. We had to leave, as I said to you, the lions. They're still eating their buffalo, and I think they will be for the foreseeable future. So that we've got probably for 2 days or so cubs on a kill. I thought those are green pigeons, but they are not. I fear me they are just the humble ring-necked dove. What do you say, Eggsy? You think they're ring-necked doves, do you? It's not particularly exciting. But it's quite exciting, Eggsy. Beautiful. Sitting enjoying the morning sun. There's a bit of a nip in the air. It's not exactly hot yet. And way in the background you might be able to hear. I love the call of the crested barbet. It's so nice having this lens also, because it means we can do some nice birds. I think our plan from here, everyone, is going to be to head down sort of towards the south, along Twin Dams Road, and then a bit off to the east, and see if we don't, because we have no idea where Karula went. She may well be right in this vicinity right now, so we'll do a little loop around the camp, probably go via Gallagher Pan again, just to check, and then we'll go around towards the east, towards Buffelshoek Dam. And that will be our plan. We know that there are no lions there, well, unless it's an unusual pride that's come in. Hello, Shelby. Very nice question from you. You're a new viewer, I think, and you want to know how exactly they kill, how those lions would have killed that buffalo. Shelby, it depends on the size of the prey. So most of the cats will, for a prey smaller than them, of a sort of less mass, they will bite, deliver one sort of killing bite to the back of the head here, and you sever the spinal column, and then the animal dies straight away. But for a buffalo like that, you need quite a few lions, and what they do is one of them will leap on top there. You saw that hole in the back, sort of around over there on the buffalo. You see my hand there? Somewhere around there, you saw there was a hole in the back. One of them jumps on top and bites that particular part of the spine. There's one lioness there who's a specialist at that. Then the others will harry and leap on it, and they rake away with their back claws, and it's the most amazing sound of them sticking those knife-like claws into the fur and then raking away at it to sort of try and open it up. And eventually what they will do, once it gets weaker, you see, they've got to stay away from the head because the horns are so big and so powerful that they can easily do some serious damage to a lion. So they'll kind of weaken it by leaping on top of it, all over it, and biting. They will try and bite chunks out of it, but they'll certainly make horrible puncture wounds. And then eventually, once it tires a bit, one of them will get on the throat and one of them will get on the nose. And they'll suffocate it and stop the bellowing sound at the same time. And that's basically how it'll go down. With 5 lionesses and 2 males like that, you'll probably find it took them about, I would have said, at least half an hour to kill that buffalo. We've seen, about 3 weeks ago exactly actually, 4 lionesses of the Nkuhuma Pride killing a buffalo, and it took them, I think it took them 2 hours to kill him fully. So it really does make a difference having the extra lioness and the 2 males because of the strength that the 2 males especially provide, and they kind of tag team each other. And we watched the same 4 try and kill a buffalo just here about a week after they killed the first one, and eventually they just couldn't do it. They got too tired, they got too exhausted because he just kept standing and turning, and they couldn't get at his nose to sort of block off the air, and eventually they left him be, and he survived with some horrible gashes on him, but he survived. So it really does depend on the size of the prey and how many lions there are. Something like an impala, they'll just leap on top of it, bite it in the back of the neck and kill it. A leopard, for example, with a slightly bigger animal like an impala, will jump on top of it and then grab it in the throat because it doesn't have any help, obviously. But once you've got the animal on the throat, what it does is that it closes the windpipe and it stops their ability to A, breathe, and B, probably most importantly, it stops their ability to, just looking around here carefully while I waffle away at you, it stops their ability to bellow and make a distress call. Now what a distress call does is it attracts other predators, especially lions and hyenas. And those hyenas, although they're renowned as being the most scavenging or most voracious scavengers, lions are actually much more voracious scavengers. So all the other predators will try and get a windpipe hold. If they can't get a straight kill bite, they'll grab at the neck and try and get a windpipe hold so that there's no distress call, and the lions and the hyenas won't be able to come around and grab whatever it is that they have hardly or tried very hard to get. Right, Brent Leo Smith is at Red Dam, and at Red Dam we've taken some wonderful pictures of what he is about to show you.
And yet another wonderful picture of the African fish eagle. Look at that perfect reflection in the calm morning water. This is an adult fish eagle. Hopefully it'll start calling. You can hear some other fish eagles calling in the distance. I'm just going to sneak a little bit closer to see if I can see if there's anything else around the corner in the water. Very relaxed fishy. Oh, didn't move a muscle, the fish eagle. No hippo yet. They might move into the water a little bit later in the morning as it cools down. But hopefully you guys are going to get some good screenshots of that fish eagle with its reflection. I'm just going to snap one quickly. I'd recommend you wait. There we go. That's the one. Ooh. Might get attacked by the Egyptian geese. get ready to get the screenshot of a fish eagle flying. Wouldn't that be awesome? Doesn't look like it's about to fly just yet. Ignoring the geese that are complaining that it's here. Isn't this absolutely spectacular? I think I got a very cool photograph there. It's also giving us a nice chance to listen to see if there's anything else about. Now, Red Dam having water in it at the moment makes it a hot spot during the drought. Now, fish eagles are great gosling eaters. So they often eat baby Egyptian geese. So Egyptian geese are not big fans of them. And there are the geese. That fish eagle almost looked like he was about to fly. So get ready. Look there, slight bit of movement in the legs. Who's going to get that killer screenshot of a fish eagle taking off? It was the fish eagle throwing us a bait and switch. Now, from a photography point of view, specifically with birds, patience is key. So we're in the right spot. It's likely that that fish eagle is going to fly at some point. Now, many a photographer has spent many hours waiting next to a fish eagle just like this. Look, but that fish eagle looks still quite comfortable. Now, of course, fish makes a major part of their diet, but they will eat, as I said, baby ducks, geese, water birds, monitor lizards, terrapins. So apparently there are some fantastic screenshots already. Now, what are you watching for on that fish eagle for it to take off? Oh, I missed it. I missed it. Chasing the geese. Oh dear. I was watching the geese. But have a quick look. This is quite a cool one. There we go. You can see there's the fish eagle, and then the reflection of the geese coming through. I just heard the geese are back. The fish eagle is gone. So we're going to keep moving. So nice, warming up a little bit. Now let's hope the leopard viewing warms up as well. Hyena tracks on hard soil. So they said all the female leopards are to the west of us, but who knows, maybe there's a male around here. Tingana likes to spend quite a bit of time in this area. Hi, Michael. Michael's 18. Michael says, we know that male leopards commit infanticide, and which means killing of baby leopards that they think are not their offspring, and even sometimes that are their offspring. And Michael's saying, well, but what about female leopards? Most definitely unrelated female leopards will commit infanticide on cubs of another female. So it is not that. It's less common than males, but not uncommon and not unheard of. So far, just hyenas wandering around here. No sign of any of the other cats. Oh, there we go. Kudu. Quite a big group of kudu. There's a nice young male about to walk out. Probably about 7 or 8 spread through the thickets. Another young male. The tallest antelope we get here, or tallest at the shoulder. We do have some incredibly beautifully large male specimens around. Don't seem to be with this little group. There seems to be females and young males. Moving through the thickets. And that's the last view we're going to get of that lot as they disappear. It's such a beautiful and elegant antelope, the greater kudu. Okay, so we're going to keep checking for a little bit more in Arathusa before heading back to Juma. But while we do that, let's go see what James is up to.
I'm just operating on a hunch here, everyone. I did go for a brief walk, but I didn't find anything other than very pleasant bird song and nice smells of the late winter. We're driving along the drainage line that runs parallel with the camp. Now, you can see the fence there. Karula jumped clean over this fence yesterday evening. And as far as I'm aware, Brent did not find any tracks in a fairly extensive search this morning. So I'm just doing a little lurk around here along the drainage line towards the dam, and we'll see if we don't pick something up. That, for example, would be ideal. It is a little bushbuck that would be devoured in seconds. Doesn't look like a particularly panicked little bushbuck, but where is its mother? That is the question. I've stopped a few times and thought I'd heard crunching, that crunching sound that we'd heard so clearly at the lions. I've found any number of leopards by walking through the bush and using my ears and hearing that crunching sound. Well, it's certainly not that little bushbuck that's being eaten. Do you see how confiding he is, or she is? Because so used to people being around the camp there, you see, and so much less skittish than the ones that don't live near the camp. Just look up in these trees here. Hello Donnie, you're a new viewer. It's lovely to have you with us. Thank you for your question. You want to know how big this area is that the animals can roam? Well, there's a duiker in there as well. It's beautifully hidden. Donnie, I'll get back to you. See there, Eggsy? Well spotted. You can just see it silhouetted there, backlit. One of our smaller antelope. Donnie, they can actually survive, at least the entire area, fence to fence, north to south, east to west, is 8.5 million acres. That's 3.5 million hectares, or 80 or 35,000 square kilometers. I'm not going to work out how many square miles that is, but I probably can. It is roughly, what would it be? It's roughly 20,000 square miles. So it's a massive area, but the area that we move in is much smaller than that. The area that we operate in is 6,500 acres, so it's quite a lot smaller. But there are no fences between us and the greater area. So the larger area is called the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, which is a bit of a mouthful, but it extends into Mozambique and north into Zimbabwe, and then the bulk of it is the Kruger National Park in South Africa. But between all those three areas, there are no fences at all. So there's a fence on the western border, a fence on the far eastern border in Mozambique, and then a fence on the northern border inside Zimbabwe. But Donnie, otherwise, the animals are free to come and go as they please. Many of them do travel widely. The elephants, for example, will go big distances. However, many do not, such as the territorial leopards and lions. They operate in much smaller areas. Nice question. Thank you, Donnie, and thank you for joining us, and I hope that you will be with us a bit longer. I'm just going to get hold of Brent. Apparently he's trying to get hold of me on the radio. Brent, go ahead. I'll put him on speakerphone so you can hear him. Brent Leo Smith, go ahead.
James, just to let you know, there's an update from the Zoomy that Karula passed the dam camp last night heading south. I checked Twin Dams, I checked the Milwaukee, nothing there, and I might have missed track earlier on Vulture's Nest, but I can't find anything heading further south than that.
Copy, thank you very much. So an update from the Zoomy saying that Karula did go south from the dam, which is the little dams up there. She went south. Brent didn't find tracks. It doesn't surprise me, A, because she's a leopard, and B, because we go out quite early in the morning and the light is very difficult, and to find a difficult to track animal in good light is difficult. Now here are some buffaloes. I was going to say buffalo, but then buffalo came out. I quite like the term buffalo. Now, it's a bit of a funeral march for these chaps, everybody. They lost a friend last night. And they're coming up towards the Gallagher Pan to have a drink, but what is very interesting here, let's see if Eggsy spots it. Eggsy, there's something unusual about this little group. There's a very light brown one, yes? What is it about that light brown one that is so unusual, Eggsy? It's a cow. Well spotted. So by strict definition, this would be a breeding herd, but, well, it's got one cow in it. It's extremely unusual. Normally, everyone would be sitting here with bull buffalo, and that cow on her own with them is very strange. Micah in Hawaii, nice to hear from you. Thank you for getting hold of us. And also, especially, thank you for telling us where you are on this exotic planet that we have. Micah, you want to know, there are two aspects to your question. You want to know if poachers attack water buffalo. These are not water buffalo. They look like water buffalo, but they aren't water buffalo. They are the standard issue Cape buffalo. Water buffalo are the South American, at least South Asian species, which has been introduced into Australia. That's a water buffalo. It looks very similar. It's quite closely related, but it is very different. And secondly, no, they don't have poachers really. Poachers will try and kill them for their meat, but not for their horns. Their horns are, well, interestingly, I mean, they're made of the same stuff as rhino horn. We'll just, while you're looking at the waterhole view, we'll move around. You can see where we are as we come into view. What you find, Micah, is that the horns are made of keratin in much the same way that rhino horn is made of keratin, but for some reason poachers are not, or certainly the people who use rhino horn as medicine don't seem to think that that particular kind of keratin is of any value. Now, of course, all of this is totally illogical, but somehow the buffalo have been spared. Now you can see us, wave Eggsy, we're going past everybody. Hello everybody. And we'll just come up and get a nice view of these buffalo. And there you can see us now. Well, you can't see us now, you can see me in my eyes, shining in the golden light. And we'll move up and get a closer look at these beefies. Hello beefy buffaloes. Now, if you look at the one on the far left, you can see that it's looking a bit ribby. It's not looking particularly healthy. And I think that's about the same size as the one that met its end at the claws and teeth of the Nkuhuma Pride last night. Hello, country boy for life. You want to know if a water buffalo is bigger than a Cape buffalo? Country boy for life, I don't know the answer to that question. I think that they're about the same size, to be honest. I think it's possible that a water buffalo is slightly bigger, but I think they're about the same size. These things weigh, at their zenith, about 800 kilograms. That is many thousands of pounds, about 2,000 pounds. I'm not sure exactly how big a water buffalo gets. I think they may get up to a ton, actually. Yeah, they may reach a ton. I must confess that I've yet to take a photograph of a buffalo that I think, oh, that's a nice photograph. Hello, Andrew. You're wondering about fish and whether there are any in this water. There probably aren't any in this particular water. You'll find terrapins here, which are a kind of, not amphibian, they're a kind of reptile, like a tortoise or a turtle. But I don't think you'll find fish in this particular pan, because I think there's a bit too much activity in it, and it's not very deep. But you will find many fish. After heavy rains, when the big dams fill up, you saw us driving through the dam there. Once those dams fill up, you'll find many catfish, many tilapia, and various other kinds of fishes in them. How they get there is often something of a mystery, but I think they come on birds' legs and on birds' dung, in birds' dung, and also I think many of their eggs are able to remain dormant in the mud or in the drying sort of vegetation. That they just they don't die, and then when the rains come, they reinvigorate and become fish. But catfish is the bulk of the fish that we find in these little waterholes, and tilapia. In fact, when Buffelshoek Dam, which is the biggest dam here, or used to be the biggest dam here, when that dried out circa Christmas time last year, we definitely found a massive number of dying or dead tilapia. The birds actually couldn't even finish, so many of them just rotted in the sun, which made for a very pleasant ambient smell. Now, Eggsy, if you wouldn't mind just tilting the camera there towards the nest cam. Can you see the nest cam? So there are now 2 or 3 ways of viewing what's going on at the waterhole here. You can look at the nest cam. I think you find it on our website. You can look at the Juma Dam cam, which is one of the views of the buffalo that you just had as we were driving up here. And then if we happen to be parked here, well, then you've got 3 views. And I think the nest cam is looking at us now. Looking at us in sweet, comforting repose. You see that, Eggsy? You must always look relaxed around these animals. so that people realize what a wonderful environment it is that we live in. All the oxpeckers coming down now, having a drink. Let's see if I can get a picture of them. Michael, you're 18 years old, and I think that you're correct. Brent, or I think Brent's correct, certainly, that you say you came across this herd a little while back, and Brent suggested that it was highly likely that she'd become separated from from her herd, and that's why she joined up with these bulls. I think that's exactly what's happened. The question is why she got separated. Was she giving birth, maybe? Maybe she lost her calf. Why? Look at the terrapin there. Just get down there, right underneath there. Yeah, well done. Look at the big terrapin there. There you are, Micah. That's a serrated, hinged terrapin. Very cool. So I would agree, Michael, that she's been separated somehow. Maybe she had a calf, lost the calf. The herds do move on when these buffalo have calves. I don't know. She looks to be in pretty good nick. It's not a bad idea to hang around these bulls if you're a female or a young bull, because they offer protection in two ways. One, they're big and strong, and so they're quite scary for predators to try and kill. And two, they're not quite as sprightly as they once were, which means that if a lion was to choose to kill one of this group, they might go for one of the older, infirm bulls than a very young male or a very healthy female. And she looks in pretty good nick. Hello, Lisa. You're in New York and you're wondering about how often they need to drink. Lisa, they need to drink normally twice a day, at least once a day, but in winter it'll be twice a day because the forage is so much drier. The grass that they eat is so dry right now. They do have to drink a lot more often. Eggsy, if you look down there, you can see a whole lot more of them coming. 3 more and some kudu. Now you see this kind of action is going to start happening more and more and more as we go towards September and October, when things are going to get very, very dry indeed. Raisa, it's good to have you back with us. You say you wonder if the conversation has to change amongst the bulls when there's a cow amongst them, so they have to clean up their act a little bit and perhaps talk a little more formally and less about dirty subjects. Raisa, I'm sure that's exactly what happens with these bulls. You know, they look so old and wizened that I'm sure they're very gentlemanly in their conduct around this cow. Lovely picture of them coming across the water there. Alright, while we enjoy this rather lazy, beautiful Monday morning scene, let's go across to Arethusa and find out where in the world Brent Leo Smith is searching for animals.
So we abandoned Arethusa. Not much happening there, no radio updates, no tracks. All the dominant female leopards that we might be looking for, male leopards, were all found in the west and in the south. So there's that report of Mvula and Shaluva 2005 model were mating at Hardakor, which is not too far from here. And then they got chased south, and Aubrey has tracks somewhere around this area. So fingers crossed that they might be around the northern boundary. And so we're just going to meander slowly to the east. We've just passed the gate, and we're just going to keep going slowly, see if we find any tracks, enjoy the morning warmth as the sun beats down. There's an interesting question from Kevin. What speed do we try not exceed when chasing wild dogs in particular? Well, Kevin, it all depends on the terrain around us. Our speedometers don't work, so we don't even know what speed we're going when we're chasing wild dogs. But I'd say we probably very seldom get up to about 60 k's an hour, and that's only if it happened to be on a road like this and they were running parallel. Normally it's the bush, the vegetation keeps our speed down. Okay, so this is where they were chased. So those leopards were chased by the Nkuhumas last night, and Aubrey said he had tracks around Rubbing Post Dam, which is over there, about over there, but it's on that same little river system that goes towards Mvubu Road. So we're just going to slowly amble down here. While I walk in the rain, where is Mr. Anderson? As far as I know, he's down south Londolezi way. Oh, he's obviously just fallen off a car, main access roads. But whenever we do see anything, we do stop and pick it up. And if everyone in the world stopped and picked up trash when they saw it, the world would be a much cleaner place. Or not throw it out in the first place, yes. I think what happens on the main access road, I think it falls off the vehicles accidentally. And it is a busy road. And with the open vehicles, quite often things slip through the seats. I don't think anyone intentionally litters out here in the game reserve, but outside, there's definite intentional littering. Okay, so I'm hoping that this area from this sort of mound here to Mvubu Road is where we might find tracks of those leopards if they did cross. So even though it's been quite a chilly start to the morning, I think it's going to get quite warm today. Vim, any guesses? 34. Woof, Vim going high. I was going to say around 29, maybe 30 degrees. Apparently, according to the weather, it is going to be 34, but they said it was 16 degrees this morning, and I definitely don't think it was. I think it was a couple of degrees colder, probably around 12. But of course, retrospect is an exact science. Now, we are getting closer to September, so we might be getting some of our migratory bird species back. And Anna Marie is wondering, will steppe eagles return at about the same time as the woodlands kingfishers? Anna Marie, it's very difficult to call this year due to the drought, and there's lots of variables that might. Liam's got a big smile on his face, our first leopard track of the morning. Am I going to see it if I turn now? Ah, well spotted, Vim. Female leopard tracks. And is that male up ahead there as well? Yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Coming up here, I still see the female, but is that a male that's joined? That's a lion. Okay, well that's not what. All right, this is where the Nkuhumas crossed. There we go. Okay, so we've got female leopard tracks. They are heading east, so maybe our gamble is paid off. Fingers crossed. And very slowly now. Now, this could be Karula, if it's just a female. And she continues. Historically, this is very much a core part of her territory, and where we saw her last night is no more than a couple of 100 meters from here. Oh, lion tracks everywhere. No more leopard tracks for him. And we'll have to go back. I just want to check down into the dip. While we do that, let's go see what Commander Bond is up to.
There be vultures up ahead, everybody. Many of them in trees. Something be demised in this area. And a tawny eagle. Something has died here. Didn't Brent have these vultures earlier this morning? There's one there, you can see. That's only one, but there are a whole lot more. And I think he asked Herbie to come and have a look here. It's too early for them to have been here because Karula, if Karula killed. Now, there's also Eggsy to the left. There's a big bird in the tree there. I'm pretty sure it's a batalea. Now, bataleas. Egbert, why is your camera making such a loud and offensive whining noise? It is deeply offensive. There is a batalea, everybody. Now, batalea are the first of these carcasses, whatever carcasses there are. And they're obviously a better indication sometimes of where the carcass is because they don't have the need to sit in dead trees. For some reason, vultures don't like to sit in a tree like the one the batalea's in there. It looks like it's looking straight down, doesn't it? I think we should go around there. There's another road just there. Let's just go all the way down here and then we'll go up that way. It's all rather interesting. Take my jersey off. You see how skilled I am, Eggsy? Are you amazed? Yes. Good. He says he's very amazed. He didn't say it with great enthusiasm, though. So we've got white-backed vultures here only. They're the only vulture species that I can see. Ooh, you know what? Eggsy, I'm going to challenge you severely now. They're the vultures. Let's just have a look at them. And always a good idea to have a listen, like I say, for the crunching of bone. All white-backed. See the one yawn there? One on the top just opened his beak and yawned. Yes, I'm seeing things, which is possible. But I did think I saw, and I didn't want to get everybody too excited, I thought I saw a rock martin flying over here. Now, a rock martin is a completely indistinct swallow-like bird of very little note, other than the fact that I don't think they're very common here. Has anyone got a rock martin on their bird list? I'm just going to be quiet for the next 30 seconds. Let's just see if we can't hear some sort of crunching noise. No, I can't hear any crunching noise at all. I think a better indication of what these things are looking at is where that batalea is. Okay, let's go around the batalea, see what we can see. Otherwise I might just take a little trot down into the drainage there on foot. And you also would have heard there the lovely sound of the chin spot batis. Now, we have a question from what was possibly a new viewer, and could well be a relation of Eggsy's. Someone called Beardosaurus Rex Beardosaurus rex, are you related to Eggsy in any way? Eggsy has a very impressive beard. You want to know how bad the bugs are in this area? Well, depends entirely on your definition of bad, Beardosaurus rex. They are numerous, certainly, in the summertime. In the wintertime, we see hardly any bugs, or beetles, or insects, or anything else. But in summer, after the rain, there are many. And if you don't like insects, if they frighten you, it can be a little trying at night sometimes. But yeah, there are very few of them that are poisonous, very few of them that are dangerous to human beings at all. The most dangerous is a mosquito, of course, that has malaria, but it's very uncommon in this area. So yeah, Beardosaurus rex, there are numerous and many and varied, hundreds of different kinds of insects and arachnids and various other things that fly around here and make people go ee when they fly into their food or into their faces, but very few of them, very few, if any of them, are harmful to us in any way at all. Beardosaurus rex, are you sure you're not related to Eggsy? Hello, Susan in the Netherlands. You say yesterday I said insects don't technically have a heart. What did I mean by that? I don't think they have a heart in the same way that we do. So we have a heart that is pumping blood around the body all the time. It's got 4 chambers in it. Birds have a very similar kind of a heart, as do the reptiles and amphibians. And as far as I'm aware, I'm not exactly sure what kind of organ an insect has to pump its hemolymph around the body, but I think it's slightly different from our, it was very different from our heart. I mean, I've no doubt that there's a valve system, that involves some kind of contractions that move the blood around the place, but I'm actually not sure. I can't believe I don't know this. I'm not sure exactly how that mechanism works. And the reason I questioned it yesterday was simply because when we say we're looking for a heartbeat, we normally in a bird or a mammal or some kind of vertebrate. It's normally not an insect. If anyone can help out there, maybe Judy H., our resident expert naturalist, how does an insect's heart work? I don't remember that. I'm sure I probably learnt it in sort of 7th grade at school, but I don't remember. I cannot remember it now. Now the Battalier was just up ahead here. He was in a tree looking directly down onto this road or into this drainage system here. This is round about where Karula gave birth, everybody, 8 months ago, just about, to little Shongile and Hosana, both of whom are currently growing up without me, which I feel very distressed about. Right, let's look around here. Hello, James Richard. You want to know about Battaliers, and you say you know that they are a kind of snake eagle. Well, they're not strictly a kind of snake eagle. I mean, they're sort of placed in the same group, but they're not the same genus at all as many of the snake eagles. I suppose, yes, some people do describe them as snake eagles. You said, do they eat snakes? Yes, they do. I've definitely seen them eating puff adders before. I don't think they're nearly as enthusiastic about snake killing as many of the other snake eagles, and as far as I know, no. The answer is that the snake eagles are not immune to snake venom. I suppose they could be less prone to dying from it than, say, us, but I don't think they're immune to it in the same way that, say, a honey badger can be immune to it. Now, let's just have a listen here. It was around about here that we had the Battalier. Listen for squirrel alarm calls, or listen to birds alarm calling. But all we can hear at the moment is the very peaceful sound of the chin-spot batters. The other thing that snake eagles have, James Richard, is very long and unfeathered legs, which makes it very difficult for snakes to get hold of them. That's the main adaptation that they have. And you can hear some apalices in the background there going chicka 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 chicka. Just listening to Brent speaking, everyone. Brent has got tracks of mating leopards crossing into Vuyatela from the Buffels of Cutline. That would seem to be Shiluva and Mabula. It's very exciting. I'd love to see him again. Alright, let's ease our way up this road. I'm looking for tracks myself, but I don't see any tracks here. Maybe in the drainage, maybe I've interpreted this incorrectly. It is possible. I know, Eggsy, it seems very unlikely, but it is possible. Hello, country boy for life. You want to know how we tell the difference between male and female leopard and lion tracks? Simply on size. The male has a bigger foot than a female, and therefore it's easy to tell the difference between male and female. Male lion has a footprint roughly the same size as my hand. That's pretty big male. Female about that size. So you can see there's quite a difference. A male leopard would be the size of my fist, and a female leopard will fit sort of into the neat circle in between the knuckles and the ankle and the wrist joint there. So that would be female leopard, full fist male leopard. That would be a lioness, and that would be a lion. So that's a rough guess of how the sizes of the tracks work. Of course, if you're the size of Brent Leo Smith, it doesn't work quite like that. But for me, that's how it works. A nice rule of thumb to work off. I think the Battalier was in this tree, but I think it's taken fright now, or it's on the ground pilfering some meat from some hapless predator. I don't see anything in here. Let's have one more stop and listen, and then we'll move on and go around to the other side of this block. Look down into this drainage. There we go. It was in one of these little caves that Karula gave birth to her two latest little cubbies. Gorgeous morning, isn't it, Eggsy? Yes. Yes, it is. I'm glad you agree. Alright, let's carry on. There's one thing I just want to show you here. And I know I've shown them to you before, but here's the Battalier coming overhead. Well done, Eggsy, good job. I knew it was coming because that white crowned shrike, you would have heard it going. Well done, Eggsy. Now, I've lost what I was trying to show you here because the light is wrong. Hang on a sec. Ah, yes. You see over here? You see the spider's web? That is probably a tropical tent web spider, everybody. And the spider is in there. The spider, I don't think you're going to be able to see even with that amazing camera that we have there. The spider is less than 1 millimeter in length. So 1 millimeter is roughly... you got it? Sorry. Let me just pick that stick. But the spider is in there. And if you look at this piece of stick that I have here, the spider is no wider than the tip of this tiny little stick. And somehow it has managed to create something of such immense intricacy and complication from a brain that cannot be, well, more than a few cells in size. And I just find that absolutely astounding. It'll be waiting patiently there for tiny, tiny, tiny little insects to fly into the, probably ants actually, to climb up the tree and fall into that lattice work. A sort of circus-like or trapeze-like net. Thank you, Bud, in North Carolina. I thought this was something like this. You say insects have a rudimentary heart that sort of slosh the hemolymph around inside the open cavity of the body. There are no blood vessels. That makes sense. Thank you very much, Bud. Brilliant stuff. There are, of course, vessels in the wings of a butterfly, but they're kept taut by the hydraulic pressure, which I think is amazing. So if you think of a bird or a bat's wings, they're kept fixed by bones. A butterfly's wings are kept taut hydraulically, so they're kept taut by a pressure of liquid, which is, I think, is astounding. Thank you very much for that, Bud. That's great. Hello, Andrew. You say how many bugs bite? Well, many. Remember, bug, of course, is a generic term that we use, but it's actually a biological term for a specific order of insects. And the order of bugs, the Hemiptera, there are quite a few biters in the Hemiptera. They include stink bugs, which smell disgusting. Assassin bugs, which will spray a nasty, disgusting stuff on you that will hurt a lot. There are a few biting bugs in the Hemiptera, but then if we're talking widely about insects, there are not many that would bite you to the extent that you needed to yelp out in pain. You might say one bad word or two, but you certainly wouldn't go ballistic with writhe about in pain. So I think you'd be absolutely fine. Here is the Mahindra. Herbert is out here obviously doing some tracking. We've just come past here though, so he's obviously been knocking about here for some time. Good luck, Herbie. That's good news. I'm glad he's around here. Simon, very nice question from you, and it's actually really nice. Discussion point. You say, is it safe to walk around at night in a wilderness area where there are perhaps no big animals, but there are leopards? And the answer, Simon, is going to be revealed to you once we've spoken to Herbert. Herbert is suffering from the same frog in the throat that I am. Okay, alright. Okay, see you later. He's done exactly what we've been doing, everybody. He obviously saw the battalier that side, he went to look there, now he's going to go down and check that way, which we shall do as well. Simon, you will be amazed to know, I don't know where you're getting hold of us from, but there are leopards basically everywhere you go. If you're not in a major city in this country, or in many countries in southern Africa, and indeed not only in southern Africa, or through India, and into Russia and China, there are leopards everywhere. We just don't see them. So yes, in essence, the chances of you being taken out by a leopard in a wild area at night, especially if it's not a game reserve region like this, very small indeed. They're there, it's possible. Yeah, you could get taken by a leopard in this area, but the leopard concentration here is quite high. You don't want to come across any big cat at night, but there are lots of places in South Africa where you can be very safe outside at night, where there are leopards. They do live there, but they're not habituated to people, and often, say for example in the Cape Mountains, they're much smaller than the ones we get here. They eat smaller prey. They don't sort of think of human beings as prey at all. They've been persecuted for millennia, and so they just stay out of the way of human beings. So Simon, that would be perfectly safe to go into the Cape Mountains. And what we certainly, Sam Chevalier used to talk about that often. He was a presenter here, for those of you who don't know, and he spent much time out in those Cape Mountains at night. It's perfectly safe. But the rule of thumb is that all big cats will become a lot braver at night than they will during the day, and that's simply because they are, it's their time. They can see where you can't see, and that's one of the major reasons you walk with a torch at night, is so that you can walk with confidence. I remember a trainer of mine saying to me once, you don't want to walk around at night without a torch because you'll trip over things, and if you trip over things you look like you can't see what's going on, which will make a predator will notice that immediately. They can immediately notice if you're at a disadvantage, perhaps you're limping or you're coughing and spluttering, and if you're tripping over everything, then they're going to think, oh, he can't see nothing. Let me go and see what he tastes like. Then, of course, if it happened to be Eggsy, he'd be sorely disappointed because Eggsy would just taste like his beard. Eggsy's beard is roughly the same mass as Eggsy. Alright, let's do a little drive up the drainage here. Herbie's just in the block over here, so we'll drive up this drainage line. See if we can't find something nice here. Maybe. Seen a dike here. Right, let me just. Now, could be a leopard in here somewhere. But I don't really understand. You know what's possible here? Maybe Karula killed a few days ago in here. And she's left the cubs here, maybe. And she was maybe just doing a well, except she didn't look like she'd been eaten. Or, she didn't look like she'd been eaten. She didn't look like she'd eaten yesterday, so maybe that's incorrect. Something's died in here. While we investigate, let's go and find out how Brent's tracking has gone.
Okay, so what we did is I took a quick walk from where we saw those leopard tracks, and they we're heading in this general direction towards Mvubu Road. Now the amazing thing is everywhere I walk, there are lion tracks and little buffalo tracks running. So the lions have literally been everywhere. Their kills probably about a kilometer here, but they were all over this area last night. I've called Herbie. So what I did is I got Vim to drive the car around, and I walked through the bush. And I came out somewhere here, and I just want to mark these female leopard tracks for Herbie. Here we go. And there was a nice clear one. So she came from the boundary down into the river system, and there. Male track with her, but I find the male track crossing here. And she came, there we go. Okay, so she's gone back north. I just want to see if we can make sure we can see where she maybe crosses the road. Now, there's buffalo tracks running, there's lion tracks running, there's a male leopard track as well. So this could be Mvula and Shaluva. Okay, so we've still got tracks here, still got tracks here, no tracks from here. So it looks like they've gone into the block here. So we're going to go back onto the fire break and round again, fingers crossed. And one of the reasons I took that walk and I asked Vim to drive around for me is also so I could hear more while I was walking through the bush. making sure if they were mating, we would hear it. Of course, half the fun about being on safari every day is figuring out these little puzzles. Now, I found one of their tracks on top of the lion tracks, which gives me a good idea of the age. So we know that those lions were chasing buffalo around 4 a.m. These tracks are on top. So these probably, well, between 4 a.m. and about now, that means those leopards have moved through this area. Now, hi Lynn. Lynn is in Michigan, and Lynn is wondering, is Shadow still with Tingana? You know what, I'm not going to check the fire break just yet. It's harder to see tracks there. I'm going to check the main northern boundary, make sure they didn't cross our boundary again. If we get nothing, then we'll come down the fire break. So Lynn was asking about Tingana and Shadow. I haven't heard anything, Lynn, so I would be lying if I told you I knew. Herbie, those Nkonzo cross Mvubu Road going north, I've marked last Nkonzo on Mvubu Road. I'm just going to check Buffelshoek boundary towards Gari cut line, make sure they don't cross north again. Okay, so a lot of tracking now. So if we had lots of time, we'd stay on foot on those tracks, following track to track. But that often takes a lot of time to find animals. So the tracks have gone. So now what I'm doing is going, okay, I'm a leopard. I'm actually a mating pair of leopards in my mind. Where would I go? Now, the lions have just made a hell of a racket out that side. So I'm going to try go away from the lions. Now, we want them, fingers crossed, to go more east, but their last direction was sort of northeast. So if they are going to cross this road, it's going to be, in my thinking like a leopard, it's going to be in the next 300 meters along the crest here. So we're going to go slowly, hang our head over the side, hope we don't see any tracks. Now, hi Vicky. Vicky's wondering, how safe is it to ride a bicycle out here? The answer is not very at all. So you give up your bipedal, your dominant predator stance when you get onto bicycles. So you join the impalas and the kudus. And put it this way, my dad was riding a motorbike in Zululand and he got chased by 2 male cheetah. And if cheetah will chase you on a motorbike, lions would definitely, and I know a friend of mine got chased by lions on a motorbike. I have been chased by elephants on a motorbike. Elephants really don't like motorbikes. So if you can't do it on a motorbike, a bicycle is an even worse idea. I must try find that. I've got a picture from the reserve, my home reserve. And there was one of the guys on one of the other farms that make up the reserve used to ride a bicycle to go switch on the water pump. And the lions came across him, and he threw his bicycle very wisely to the ground and ran for the trees. But there's a photograph after he managed to get hold of someone of our whole pride of lions chewing on his bicycle. I'll see if I can find it. Just final control, remind me, and then I'll bring it on the sunset safari. Well, hi Simon. Simon's in Nature's Valley, which is a very beautiful part of South Africa on the east coast along the Garden Route. And Simon says, how do you track safely without a guide? I often see tracks in my area and would like to follow them. Well, I think, Simon, the biggest positive for you is because that area is quite populated, the leopards there are going to be very scarce, and you can probably track them completely safely without ever seeing a leopard. I think maybe what you should do, Simon, is get hold of a camera trap. So on some of the paths that are regularly used, and pop a camera trap up. And a good thing is to get a little steel casing like mine with a chain. And here, of course, the chain and the steel casing is to protect it from the spotted hyena, but it also in other areas works because you can put a lock on it and it protects it from the human hyena. Now, only the honest ones that don't carry bolt cutters around with them, of course, but that's what I would do. I would say, Simon, you're more than welcome to try track. I think those leopards are so adept at avoiding people that you would be very, very lucky to even catch a glimpse. And you must remember, leopards are not trying to. We don't really fall part of their natural prey unless a small child or elderly. So I think you'd probably be very safe tracking them in that area. Also, the tracking in that area in those forests is going to be quite difficult. So I think you'd have a good test. But I think the chances of actually finding a leopard would be very, very slim. Now, I'm going to keep checking very carefully along here. And while we do that, let's go see James.
Hello everybody, we're just doing a little boat trip down the Molwawati drainage line. We've found nothing here, but we have found much very beautiful bird song. And we're going to stop here and share that with you shortly. Let's do it right here. Now, you may or may not have been on drive a few nights ago when I came down this area and I thought I heard a white-throated robin, and I couldn't find it, and I think that's what's calling here now. You hear that? Blip, 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 blip. It's a beautiful call. Oh, and then Eggsy, just on the ground there. Can you see on the ground there? Well done. There's a white-browed scrub robin, which you're looking at there. It's in the middle of the screen. There you go. All the robins are out. Something else making very swizzling calls up in the knobthorn trees here. Oh, it's beautiful. Let us just go around the corner here. Now, I must just tell you everybody, we were talking about bugs that can bite. I'm told that the longhorn beetle has got quite a severe set of mandibles, and that's what that is. And the reason I'm laughing is that I felt it crawling on my ankle. Now, of course, Eggsy just did exactly what I was not able to do because we were live. He went, I felt this thing crawling on my ankle, and I thought, keep calm. And I looked down expecting to find a baboon spider crawling up my leg, but it was just that little longhorn beetle. Maggie, you say that Brent has indicated that there was probably, that many of the migrants might come back later because of the drought, and you want to know how they know about the drought. I'm not sure I suppose it's possible that they could come back later. We haven't seen any Wahlberg's eagles yet. We should have seen them by now. Well, I don't know. Does anybody actually have the date from last year? I seem to remember it being around the 16th of August. But if they do come back late, it won't be because they know about the drought. It's because they experienced the drought when they were here in the summertime. Now, through the course of evolutionary time, what would have happened is that birds will realize, because normally, remember, they come back before the rain. They come back normally sort of September, October, sometimes November, when there's been maybe a little bit of rain, but not much. The heat has gone up. Oh, it's a lovely duiker sighting there. It was a lovely duiker sighting there. Sorry about that, Eggsy. He wasn't very good to us. But they would have come here and spent a very dry, wet season here. That's the actual drought. We're actually in a standard issue dry season at the moment that is made more severe by the fact that we didn't have any rain last year. Now, the lack of rain last year probably would have triggered something in those birds, if they are going to come back late, that said, hold off a second, we must stay north as long as we can in order to wait and see if the rains don't arrive sooner after that we arrive than normal. I would say that was the answer. So I don't think there's in any way that they're predicting or in some way knowing what the conditions are here. But it would not surprise me one day to find that they could figure that out. And Fuzzman Sparkles, you want to know when the carmines will come back. Carmines come back late. I think they only sort of hit this area around sort of December or January. Let's have a look while we drive along and the car drives itself. Carmine bee eater. Eggsy? Are we steering? Not really. Yeah. It says arrives August to September, but you know, I've never seen them here in August and September. They arrive in Zimbabwe around August and September, but they don't arrive back here until much later. Here we go, South Africa from December onwards. Yeah. From December onwards they'll come down here. There's a very large monkey, not a very large monkey, but a monkey sitting out in the open there. You can see the monkey there. And he's loving the jackalberries. I bet this is where Brent saw the vervet monkeys today, in this very tree. It's been excellent primate viewing here. Look at the two of them playing there. One of them's going to fall. That is very sweet. And again, the strength. Oh my goodness, isn't that wonderful? That's a 9 or 10 foot drop. You would break your legs jumping off that. That is unbelievable. Let's get a little bit closer. You can actually hear them land. I'll go and stand under that tree and you can see how high they are. Andrew, the answer is an unfortunate yes. You said, do monkeys ever throw their poop? They do sometimes. It is a highly disgusting habit, of course, but they have been known to throw their poop from time to time. Right, here's one quite close by. You see him there, Eggsy? Shall I go forward a bit? I'm not really sure why they choose to throw their poop, but yes, Andrew, they can sometimes decide that throwing their poo-poo is a good idea. Which it inescapably is not. You got him there? Is the light horrible? Eggsy, you're such a complainer. He's not really, everybody, I'm just being nasty. Again. Lots and lots of things trying to eat the jackalberries here. Monkey, birds of different species. We've got a couple of starlings, some grey go-away birds. I cannot find that monkey with my camera. The light is very odd. Ah, got him. Now, you see how relaxed he's looking? It's because he's got lots to eat. The rest of the troop is somewhere close by. Not just one monkey, it is just one, isn't it? Yes. I'm going to go a little bit forward. I think we might get a slightly better view. And there are actually quite a few still in this tree. Have you seen the others? Is that any good to you? Hello X-Ranger, you ask a very good question of Eggsy. You say, after a couple of weeks, is he finding it easier to find the things that the guides are spotting? I'm not sure that Eggsy ever had much trouble with that. I've been absolutely astounded at the speed with which he's been able to pick up things like birds that we point out. Very, fast things that go across the road, chop chop, he sees almost immediately. And you're absolutely right. That is normally the thing that takes the time for the cameraman to do. Brian and VM were extremely, they've been doing this for longer, and it's noticeable that they are the fastest. They're the two quickest at finding things that you point out to them. But Eggsy has been remarkably fast at learning that stuff. Well done, Eggsy. Yes. I think he's got a good set of peepers in his head. He is so chilled out there. He's so happy to have lots of jackalberries to eat. A warm morning. And all the lions far away. And hopefully all the leopards too for him. Right, well I think we should move on from here. We'll do a little sojourn along the southern boundary. And then we'll head north up the middle. And while we do that, let's go and get an update from Brent Leo Smith.
So we checked the whole northern boundary, and those tracks don't come out. So we're going to check around Gari Cutline. I've shown Herbie where the last tracks were. Oh, you smell that, Fam? Popcorn. Smells like a leopard scent mark around here. But Karula was also in this area last night. So Aubrey's coming to give us a hand as well. Shamsung's wondering about my camera traps. There's actually one out at the moment that I put up. Was it yesterday or the day before? Day before. And I will sort through the photos and videos as soon as I have an opportunity. There are quite a lot to go through, but I will put out some footage and some photographs from the camera traps in the next little while. Aubrey. Aubrey, that Nkonzo crosses Mvubu Road going northeast. I've left Herbert on foot. I'm going to check Gari Cutline. I couldn't find any Nkonzo of them crossing Buffelshoek Cutline. No, further to the west. Probably about 100 meters north of the old Mnisi Kaya. They cross into that block northeasterly direction. Okay. Well, they're the poor buffalo that got chased around last night. There we go. Well, at least they know they're safe for at least 2 days. Oh, more buffalo looking very distraught with life, wandering towards the pan. Now, they've been scattered everywhere overnight by those lions. Literally, where I was following those leopard tracks, everywhere I walk, there's a buffalo track and there's a lion track near it. Oh, it's a big boy, have him. A very nice big buffalo bull, the one on the right. Nice set of horns on him. Oh, we're not going to get over the bump. Nope. Now, Glenda's wondering, do I think it's a bad idea for people with disabilities to come on safari? If you've got a limp or arthritis or whatnot. Not at all, or even in a wheelchair. Not at all, Glenda. A lot of the lodges are prepared to cater for people with disabilities, and people with disabilities are just as welcome to enjoy the joys of the African bush as people with abilities. Of course, within reason, I don't suggest you start doing any walking safaris, but to sit on a game drive vehicle and drive around and see the magnificence that is around us should be completely fine. Justin's wondering, can buffalo be domesticated? Sort of, Justin. They still remain wild animals and slightly unpredictable. This big guy is not looking well. He's old, he's got a very big set of horns to carry. You can see his ribs are starting to show, his hips as well. Now, unfortunately, we are going to be seeing a few more sites like this as we head deeper and deeper into the dry season and the drought. David's wondering, how do we tell male buffalo from female buffalo? Their horns mostly, David, apart from the obvious appendages a female lacks. You can see they've got that very big boss. So it's a hardened layer of keratin that they use for fighting. Females will not have these big bosses on their heads. They will have horns. This guy out front, definitely not as in good condition as the other one following. There you go. You can see his hips are showing, you can see his ribs. This boy is looking in a bit better condition. Oh, and you can feel the heat radiating at the moment, so it's definitely going to be a warm day. So those Juma cam aficionados, I think you're going to have lots of buffalo to look at during the day between the drives. Maybe even some ellies with this heat coming through any time from, I'd guess, about 11 o'clock. So we're still checking for those leopards. We're quite confident they're still around, and we've got Herbie out on foot. So even if we don't get any luck on this sunrise safari, there's always a good chance on the sunset safari. So what we're looking for is if those leopards crossed here. So Simon in Nature's Valley, South Africa, was asking about tracking, and Simon would like to know, what is the most dangerous animal on foot to be aware of? In a drought like this, Simon, it's going to be buffalo and hippo. Those are your two, by far your two most dangerous. Some old boys like that, you might surprise them in a thicket. and hippo, because of the lack of water, they are going to be sleeping in little river systems. They're not only going to be in the water, they're going to be spread through the bush. And a hippo that's having a hard time seems to be much harder of hearing than anything else, and you can stumble onto them quite easily. Hello, Nyalas. Looks like everyone's making their way towards the Djuma Pan. Okay, so bye-bye, Nyalas. We're going to keep looking for leopard tracks. While we do that, let's see what James is up to.
We have come past Treehouse Dam, hoping for the other leopards who were mating. That is Tingana and Shadow. Maybe we thought they might have come up here, but they have not. We've seen one emaciated buffalo, 7,000 further duikers, and that's about it. It is amazing. Eggsy and I are going to start a company called James and Eggsy Duiker Safaris. James Richard, you say you saw an update from Nkoro that said that Shadow and Tingana have gone their separate ways. That is interesting for two reasons. First of all, it means that if let's say that we saw them on the first night that they were mating, and given his reactions, I think that that's probably a fairly good guess. I would say that it was probably a false estrus then. I think she probably hasn't come into a serious estrus. And the other thing to say is that's a good thing, of course, because if she then goes back to her cub and looks after her for another month or two, the cub might be okay. So that's good news. Thank you, James, for that. When I say we saw an emaciated buffalo, I mean really he was very skinny and nasty, so I thought we wouldn't show him to you because that would depress you all. You know, you have Monday to deal with. And when I say that we saw 7,000 duikers, that is obviously a slight exaggeration. We probably saw at least 10. And we've been asked before here, what is the most numerous mammal that you get here? And the answer has always been, it's always been impala. And then I had a question yesterday from Wiem as we were driving around. He said, how many scrub hares do you think you get per hectare here? So we're operating on Djuma, 1,200 hectares. And I began to think to myself, a hectare is basically the size of 2 rugby fields or 2 football fields, side by side. And I don't believe that a scrub hare's territory is too much bigger than 1 hectare. Maybe 2 hectares. And therefore, there must be about 600 or so scrub hares on this reserve. So I'm beginning to wonder if perhaps the scrub hares aren't even more numerous than the impala out here. I think we often just think of the things that we see most obviously. If you drive around here at night, you see scrub hares all over the place. You see duiker all over the place. I don't think duiker have very large home ranges at all. So maybe it isn't impala, maybe it's scrub hares. Maybe it's tree squirrels. It's difficult to count the tree squirrels in an area though. Very easy to find with a helicopter during an aerial survey exit. It's difficult to find a squirrel, you know. Hello, Nicholas. You were our intern for a little while. You say, you hope we're coping without you. Well, we're just managing, Nicholas. It's obviously been a great trauma since your departure, but we're okay. And we hope that you are okay, and we hope to see you soon one day. You can come back here, hopefully this time with your car license, and we'll have another good time. We're just driving onto quarantine here. Do one last lap around here, see what happens. Hello, Lucy in South Bend, Indiana. I think you've got a very good idea. You say I should gargle some whiskey for my sore throat. and even if I swallow it, it won't do any harm. Indeed, Lucy, I would say it would do quite the opposite. Were I to gargle whiskey and swallow it, I think I'd feel immeasurably better. Until a little bit later in the day, perhaps. Very good idea. I'll probably go and do that immediately on getting home. Thank you, Lucy, for your concern. I always miss those logs. We're doing one final loop around the quarantine clearings on the western fringes thereof. And you can see here, if you're ever wondering why it is that quarantine clearings are so clear versus the rest of the reserve, well, they were cleared by hand, and this is evidenced by this road that we're turning onto now. You can see on the left hand side of the road, much bush. On the right hand side of the road, clearings. Right, everybody, that's going to be it from us today. Thank you, Eggy, for your efforts. I know it was very traumatic filming those lions, but you did very well. Thank you, everyone, for putting up with me and for talking to me throughout the course of the last 3 hours. We'll hand you back to Brent to find out what the leopard's tracking has gone like for the last few minutes, and we'll see you for the sunset safari at 3 o'clock. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we've actually checked that whole block. Nothing comes out. So Herbie's on foot, trying to find them in there at the moment. And just to let everyone know, I nearly forgot about it myself, but we have a very good friend of mine actually trying out as a presenter on the Sunset Safari. And her name is Ali, so you'll be meeting someone new this evening. And I'm hoping that Herbie works his magic before then in that block. Not Angus or Betty would like to know, do the ladies in Final Control ever get to go out? Well, you know, we don't like to let them out of their cage. And they get a bit cheeky and uppity. So, ooh, top of that little bush there. Oh, we need to have a camera for this. Little, looks like a testicular, but not the normal one. It is a tawny flanked prinia. I'll try to get a bit closer, but he might fly. But yes, we do let Final Control out of their cage, but not too often. Here we go. I think that's about as close as we can push it without him flying. Yeah, wonderful little tawny flanked prinia. Oh, off it pops. But it's been an incredible sunrise safari. James has had all the lion luck, and good for him. It sounds like it was an absolutely spectacular sighting. Liam and I are insanely jealous. But we have had a wonderful time looking for leopards, enjoying the early morning in the Greater Kruger National Park. And just again to remind you, we'll have a new presenter or someone trying out as a presenter on the Sunset Safari. So be nice, like you were to all of us. And we will see you on the Sunset Safari a little later. From them, myself, goodbye.